confidence is not a fluke. Confidence is a choice, and it begins with your mindset. In this podcast, you will get all sorts of mindset tools to help you reduce self criticism and overwhelm while increasing your empowerment and courage. I am passionate about helping women decrease their mental drama and increase their self awareness while leaving behind all the perfectionist tendencies. We do so by empowering ourselves one episode at a time. I am Olga, your host, former therapist, life coach, blissfully an IVF mother, and this is the Journey to Happy podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Happy podcast. I'm Olga, your host, and today we're going to be talking about a balanced life, an audit of a balanced life. And this came to me because just a few weeks ago, I was having lunch with a friend of mine who is a new mom. And she was telling me how she feels that life is out of balance at the moment, where she used to have so much time for herself and her marriage and work. And now having a child in her life has made her feel that her time is not well divided. She's unconsciously or intentionally or unintentionally or all of the above, putting so much of her time towards baby and being a good mom that she has felt left behind, like I think it happens to many of us. And it just made me think in general about this idea of a balanced life. Also, I was coaching inside Becoming the CEO of Your Own Life, a client of mine, and I realized that she was under the impression, and maybe this happens to you as well, that balance is linear, and once you get it, you don't come out of it. And that's such a big fat lie. It's a mental trap that we need to, at this moment, stop thinking that is the truth and start calling it what it is, a big fat lie. So that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to audit together our beliefs about balance, a balanced life, what tools I've been using since actually becoming a mom that have really helped me reestablish my relationship with balance and how it's ever changing. And I'm going to give you those tools throughout the episode. So let's just dive in. First of all, I'd like to say to all of you that balance has been always one of my top priorities of self-work. Especially when I became a mom, I had this great fear before becoming a mom that it would be really difficult to be a good mom and a good businesswoman. And I don't know if this has happened to those of you who have jobs that you're employed, but I know I've heard this commonly with many of us business owners, where we know we are the CEOs of our business. We are often, and for a long time, the only employee of our company. So we're doing all of the tasks needed, whether they're bookkeeping or admin or actually doing the work. It's all us, or like some of us have a team, so we still have to manage our team. And it feels like mind-blowing, the possibility of having another big job aside of that one, like mother. So I definitely had this, I was so aware of my own black or white thinking when it came to living a balanced life that I remember thinking I couldn't do both well. And how wrong was I? And it was through my intention of working through my concept of what being in balance meant that I was able to navigate through those first few years of being a new mom after having wanted this baby for so long and having all of me wanting to just do that, but also satisfying the intellectual part of me that also loved my first baby, which is my business, and not stop serving my community. And I've done it. And I would say that I've done it successfully, primarily because I've changed my perception of what a balanced life is. And that's what we're going to dive in. So I wanted to begin by telling you how I got to doing this work myself, so that maybe you believe a little bit more what I'm going to tell you, because I personally had to change my perception of this. So what's in it for you after you're listening to this podcast is that you're going to have a new perception that hopefully will give you some relief if you are currently feeling like your life is completely out of balance. I am the best person to teach you this because, one, I specialize on mindset, and we're about to adventure together on a mindset change, but also because I've experienced this. And recently, my son is only, well, he's about to turn 3. So I've been navigating through this new perception for the last 3 years, and it's been working. Okay. So I'm going to say to you that if you like this episode, do your community a favor and share it. Okay. I want more people to hear this concept so that we women can actually come off this impossible expectation to fulfill of always being perfectly at balancing things out. So if this speaks to you, if you got something really powerful out of it, share the episode with somebody else. Okay. All right, let's dive in. So where are you at right now if you're struggling with balance? You're probably feeling overwhelmed. You're probably feeling like you're needed in too many places and you're feeling stretched thin, like you can be in all places. And you're longing for a balanced life where you exist in that equation. But it's beginning to feel and seem like an impossible. You don't understand what balance is anymore. You try to do it perfectly and it's not working, and you keep coming off balance. And all you are aware of is your lack of balance life. You might even be noticing other people who've got to your eyes their shit together. They seem to be just thriving to life. They're so organized, and you just wonder, what do they have? What are they doing that is working so well for them and is not working for you? You're probably also resisting change. So things might be moving along in life and you are still attached to your old ways and wondering why this is feeling so heavy and complicated. What you really want is to feel guilt-free, sacrifice nothing, and yet still find the energy, the physical and mental energy to do the things that really matter to you, to still be kind and help others, to have time for yourself, again, guilt-free, to show up as a great mom, to show up good at work, to just feel satisfied and fulfilled in the different areas of your life that you're physically and mentally engaging in, right? That's where you want to go. This is what I think you've tried to do. I think you've tried to be balanced by getting a to-do list, coming up with a schedule and a calendar, and by sacrificing things that are not absolute needed for everyone, like going to the gym or yoga or seeing your friends. And you figure, if I could just stick to work and the things that my children need and a few things for the house, I should be in balance. And maybe you're using the word should a lot. Should be here, but I'm not there. And maybe you have cut out a bit of work. Maybe you're less on your phone. Maybe you have craved some time to clean the house more, but still you're feeling out of balance and you are feeling like you don't have enough time for yourself. So it's not working. What you have put in place is not working. The calendar, the list, the schedule, the talks to the partner, see what they can do. It's not working. You're still feeling exhausted and depleted and stretched too thin and not in balance. Why is it that it hasn't been working? Because a calendar and a schedule does not change your mindset. Balance is a way of thinking. Balance is created by your thoughts, and your thoughts produce behavior. And so if your thoughts say that you're selfish, if you take time away from your family to go do something that benefits you alone, your behavior is going to be that you don't do that thing. And your feeling is going to be, well, out of balance, overworked, overwhelmed, all the things we just talked about. So despite your best efforts to organize yourself with a to-do list, to have a calendar, to reduce all the things, you're still not feeling balanced because there isn't any amount of time spent on you rebuilding yourself, refilling your cup. And it probably hasn't worked either because you have thoughts about what balance means. Either that balance is linear, it's like this top of a mountain that you climb to, and once you make it, that's it, you're there. And unless you climb down, you're not moving. So you're thinking that balance is it's a destination, not the journey, which actually is the journey. You're also thinking that balance might mean that everything is 50-50 or else it's off balance, when in reality, it might not be that way for you. And you might be misunderstanding balance with ignoring yourself. So to you, balance might be that you're giving to everybody this equal amount of your time, but you're excluded from that list. Okay, so that's why it's not working. That's why it hasn't worked. I want to stop here to just give a shout out to all the mothers in the whole world, because you, as moms, have it very complicated. We want to be the best moms possible, but who we think is the best mom, it's so impossible to meet. Those standards are so high. And despite our best efforts to be the best mom possible, according to the perfectionist mindset, we fail at being perfect because we're human. And also because nobody can keep up to those unhumane standards that we create for ourselves. And we have confused being a good mom with having zero self time, because that would be selfish. And that, my friends, if you're a mom, is what's taking you out of balance. But if you're not a mom and you're utilizing your partner as that source of giving and giving and giving, and you never looking inwards to see what you can give to yourself, you're also coming off balance. So before we go into what actually works and my process, the process that I've developed for myself, that soon I'll be teaching within my coaching containers, I want you to think about, what is it costing you to be off balance? Physically, what is it costing you to be off balance? Mentally, financially, spiritually, in relationships. What tells you that you are off balance? When I'm off balance, and I have been lately, and I'll tell you why, I have cues that tell me I'm off balance. One of those cues is that I'm not sleeping well, that I dream a lot, that I wake up a lot. Another cue is that I feel in a low mental cycle. My brain is just not giving me quality thoughts, the opposite, just thoughts that bring me kind of down. I might be more prone to feeling uneasy, anxious, or worried. When those four things happen, I know I'm off balance. What are your red flags? What are your cues that you're off balance? For some of you might be getting sick. For some of you might be getting on a cycle of frustration and anger, guilt. Just figure it out. Become curious, even if you don't know it yet. But I'm pretty sure you do. I think you know when you're feeling off balance, and I just want to know what that is for you. I want you to know what that is for you. Awareness will always be your best friend. Okay, so now the process that works. The process that actually works to feeling balance is my reset your mindset formula. And while I'm not going to go into all the details, I'm going to explain enough for you here, because it's not impossible to do. It's easy to follow. So the process that I've been utilizing for myself, and I want to give you this example as to why I started this process. For me, consciously, the closer I got to my due date with my son, giving birth to my son, the more aware I became that balance was going to be my goal, that I wanted to be in balance always. Balancing act is an act of self-love. Okay. And I started to take note and attention of what perceptions I had about what balance meant. And I noticed I had so many limiting beliefs about balance, like the ones I told you, that it had to be 50-50. And for a while, I was 50% at work, 50% caring for my child. What was not in that 50% was me, my marriage. So it wasn't fun at some point. I just wanted more fun. And that included me having time. Okay. So I want you to, first and foremost, the first step of resetting our mindset is to become aware of our own thoughts and beliefs about the thing in question. In this particular case or episode, we're talking about balance. So what are all of your thoughts about balance? How do you think of balance? What does being in balance mean to you? And it's important to keep your eyes open to find any really crazy limiting beliefs. I was just coaching a client who said that unless she was always giving and serving everyone, she was not kind. Now, when you say this out loud, you might think that's crazy, but when you start writing down all your thoughts about balance, you might find your own crazy thoughts, because we all have them. So awareness is your first step. You're going to stop and you're going to become aware. You're going to do what I call a thought download. You're going to download all the thoughts you have about balance. And you're going to circle the ones that you think are limiting beliefs, beliefs that limit you in getting actually to balance. And it could be that you think balance means it's a permanent thing, that once you get it, it's like destination versus the journey, right? When my son was born, I was so aware of balance that I was like, okay, we're going to work this out. So how can I have some time for myself, some time for him, some time for Chris, some time for my business? And I was sorting things out and I found a routine, 0 to 3 months. I'm like, oh, this is working. I'm in balance. I had some time to have my coffee. I had some time to talk to my friends, to go for a walk. Also, this was COVID. I had some time. And I felt like my cup was being refilled despite the shock of being a mom. For those of you who are moms, you know what I'm talking about when it first hit you, that this life isn't about you anymore. But then this would happen. Mateo will reach a new developmental stage. And with it, he brought change. And I would initially lose sleep, get frustrated, feel more anxious, out of balance. Why? Because it took me a while for my brain to catch on to the fact that his needs had changed and they were demanding of me different things. And so the plan that was keeping me in balance so beautifully for the last 3 months was no longer working. And I needed to adjust to that change. And this is when I learned that balance isn't the destination, balance is the journey. And that we cultivate it with self-awareness. Has our environment changed? Are things different? How many of my clients are struggling with balance because they're now back to work to the office? They now have to cook and clean. Things that were not there, maybe are there. New factors have changed, but they keep their expectations and their routine to work as if nothing had changed. So there is some resistance that we apply to change that is natural, that is going to happen. Like my baby, we are constantly changing. Our needs are constantly changing. So when I became aware of that, I realized that balance will mean something different to me, maybe every month, maybe every week. It's going to be ever changing because I am ever changing. So last week I might have felt full of energy, but this week I might not, because I might be on my period, because I might have no husband at home and had more things to do, because I have a stressful talk, anything. Change how I am, who I am, and therefore balance might be subjected to change. That was mind blowing. And if it is not mind blowing for you, listen to this episode again, because maybe you're sticking to balance is always the same. It means I go to yoga at 6 and then husband makes supper at 7 and blah, blah, blah. But you change, your family dynamics change, your circumstances, your environment is ever changing. So balance is not linear. It's also not permanent. It's also not the same for everyone, including yourself. It changes. So awareness is the biggest part of this change, okay? In the Reset Your Mindset formula, we stop at awareness to create so much awareness. Some of my clients actually spend the 12 weeks just creating awareness, and that feels like life-changing and enough work. Step number 2 is to pause, to process. So once you recognize, and I go back to being this mom with a 3-month-old baby whose needs were changing, and I found myself frustrated, I let myself have those emotions and then think, what's happening here? Why am I off balance again? And realizing I was expecting to continue to behave the same way with a baby that was changing. And it wasn't working and I was resisting it. Then I had to sit with those emotions of frustration. I had to sit with my awareness. My baby is changing, his needs are changing. Take a step back, not rush through it, but then begin to ask myself, so what do I need now to be in balance? What does balance look like for me now? And in this process, and it's called the process, you're processing. You sort of have to shed all layers of yourself to serve you better. So I had to let go that maybe my coffee in the morning was no longer my hour, that maybe it was going to have to be late. When Mateo was 4 months old, I started working out at 10 p.m. People thought I was crazy, but that's what felt most balanced for me at the time. Today, Olga of today will think that is crazy, because now, today, my best time to exercise is when my son is sleeping, who he now sleeps until 7:30. And I have great night sleeps. I sleep the whole night. So I can get up early, I have energy. Whereas when he was 4, 6, 7, 8 months, he wasn't sleeping the night. So for me, staying up until 10 to exercise was great, because it was my time. So it's changing. Okay. So with that awareness, you get to feel the feeling, you get to become aware, then you get into the pause to process and feel all those feelings. And only when you're done feeling and processing can you then ask yourself, what would the new balance feel like? You're in contemplating mode, and then you can move into action. That's when you say reset. I reset my mind. This is the old, this is the new. This is going to be my new perception of balance as of this moment. This is what I need. And how do I make that happen? So you go into from pause to making a decision. And the decision comes right after you've said to yourself, reset, this way of thinking is not helping me. And you get to develop then your action plan to start thinking differently, start behaving in accordance to the new way of thinking, and to ask yourself, what would balance be? And then be committed that ever changing flow of balance. It's always going to be changing. So you've became aware, you have felt the feelings. I also call it sitting in the mud. You have processed it, you have reset it, and you've made a decision. Moving forward, this is what I want. This is what balance is going to look like. And then you become unapologetic to make it happen. You're going to go to town to say, what do I need to accept? What do I need to let go? What needs readjustment? And I want you to bring it home, this concept that balance is what you make of it. It's a way of thinking. If you think I'm in full balance, you're in full balance. If you think what's going to make me feel balanced is to have an hour to myself, then that's what it's going to take. Your thoughts bring balance with it or lack of. So what you will experience once you start implementing this is an ease. You're going to move with ease. You're going to know that you are in charge of bringing yourself back to balance. You're going to stop pointing the finger to everything and everyone who got you off balance. You're going to waste no time in reflecting how much it sucks to be out of balance, how much it sucks to not sleep. You're going to see those cues as really important information that's allowing you to make different decisions, that is bringing forward to your attention that something needs to happen because you are off balance. So I was telling you that I felt off balance recently. Ever since I got COVID, I had a cold after. And after that cold, I've had other like health issues. I think my hormones might be out of whack. And so I haven't felt my energetic self. I've been kind of like, I've seen the doctor like 3 times over the last 3 months, which is unheard of for me. And I can tell my body is not where it normally is. So I've had to be really compassionate and give myself breaks to not exercise my normal exercise routine, which is pretty intense. And I have thoughts about that, but then I bring myself to, but what is the most balanced thing for me to do right now? So I'm gravitating towards walking, towards nourishing my body with the foods that I know energize me because I need it more than other days. And so balance today looks different to me than it did 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago. So when we can understand that balance is moving and is changing, and we can move the target, we can move what balance looks like when we're not attached to it has to be this way. When you can follow the process of awareness, sitting and feeling, pausing, taking new decisions after you've reset the mind, and you start taking actions from that perspective, it is so easy to jump back into a balanced life. I have wasted zero energy on drama about how it feels like to not have energy. None. I've adjusted what I need to do to compensate or to accommodate my current balance state, energy state, to stay in balance. So I want to encourage you to do that. Start thinking of balance as an ever moving flaw that changes with you. It is expected to change. People around you might have things happen that are unexpected, and you can still find balance. Even if it ruins your routine, ruining the routine you have now does not permanently take you off balance. It's a thought. So who do you want to be when you're off balance to jump back onto the train of balance as soon as possible? The who is very important. How can you be the most helpful person to yourself when you have come off balance and you want to jump right back in? So if this was helpful to you, ladies and gentlemen, share this with somebody else who you think can really benefit. If you want to create these results for yourself, all you have to do is apply the process that is proven to work, is work for me, and is also working for my clients. I want you to develop the skills of awareness, of pausing, of feeling, of deciding, of resetting, of acting. And if you want me to work along with you and help you get even to a deeper level of these tools, come join me inside Reset Your Mindset. We get started September 26th. You're allowed to sign up. The doors will open to sign up and register September 20th, 21st, and the 22nd. And I only have 15 spots. So if you want one of them, you have to be on that waiting list to be notified first when I open that registration. I hope to see you in there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Talk to you guys next Monday. Bye now.